What's going on, guys? Wow. What a month. What the last 3 months have been insane, man. And I'm reviewing footage right now that, like, well, here, look at it. So what is it that, is going on in shots like this? Well, it's my job to figure that out. And with careful review, we're looking at an enormous creature here. And it does not look like the type of thing that you would want to run into. We're dealing with he looks like he might even have like a little gray beard. You can see the white of his lip right there, but this is the brow. His head's right here, and we don't know what the shape of their skull is. Is this a sagittal kind of crest ridge, but subtle because it's combined with something that has, both non and human primate? I mean, we're looking at what explanations come out of DNA study. The general public reaction is disbelief because they've never seen anything like a chimera in reality. And what we're really seeing here are these enormous primate type creatures, and it's real easy to identify that this thing's there, and it's scary looking, man. It's scary. It's like looking around, and you can see here's the brow, and he's got it looks like he's probably got his hand up, and you can see some fingertips, you know what I mean? And then every once in a while you get a side of the mouth there, but it's terrifying because we can see that it's there. Now, in looking at frames like these, how big is this particular individual? Again, I'm going to say that this individual is somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 13, possibly even 14 feet. We're dealing with very large individuals, and it's obvious just looking at it. I mean, you can see the whole thing here. He's got his hand up, and I think that's what that is. Could it be another creature? Sure. I know there's one here. I've broke this creature down and swore I was going to go back and get him because I saw him later on in the video. There's mouths and heads popping all in here. This is undoubtedly, a group of them hiding near a saw palmetto or some, type of bush that's familiar like a saw palmetto. But we can plainly see this skunk ape. This is the type that they've been describing, and this other nonsense, which appears to be other creatures. The amount of diffusion is responsible for this interacting with their skin and their hair. They're essentially built specifically, it seems, to confuse human beings. I would say that these creatures are our only natural predators on land besides each other, bears, and the odd cats and that kind of stuff, the ones that we already know about. But these guys take it one step further because specifically the other creatures aren't thinking like we are. Now, how did we end up with giant super predators in the bushes that we, as human beings, in our limited perspective with our 3-cone vision system, can't see? What was happening in America before guns? What was happening on this continent when they were relying on, say, bows and arrows to deal with what's in these bushes? Look at this bone structure. You can see this guy's bone structure right here, man. The under eye's right there. This is relic hominoid combined with God knows what. And we're seeing the eye. We're seeing that this is there. And yet, man, we're seeing look at this. Look at this frame. Man. He's trying to hide. And we caught on, and now we're getting closer and closer. Thank you for supporting us here on Patreon. This study is important beyond measure. There's no telling what's going to happen with what's going on in the world these days. There's no telling what the earth is going to do, is what we're being told. What happens if you're thrust into the Stone Age with these creatures and you have no idea what's going on? The bush is 12 to 14 foot. So here's a 12 to 14 foot skunk ape. But actually, that's a colloquialism. This is a giant. Make no mistake. And it's not fully grown. So this is pretty cool right here, man. There appears to be one just standing there watching us. You can see this is going to be the area we're talking about, and I'm trying to decipher. So what we're finding is the creatures have the eyes and the nostrils, and they're just about in line with each other, where the pupils and the holes for their nostrils are. So sometimes it's difficult to tell which one it is, but I think here we can see these are the creature's eyes. We've got this regular human type head, which appears to have like some hair on top of it, which is strange. But this is going to be the cheekbone. The side of the face is shaded, obviously, and it's just strange how well they blend in. But you can see the creature right there. There he is, and he's just standing in there. I venture a guess that this is the line of his shoulder. He's probably a big, bulky-looking skunk ape, you know. But you know, so at home in the bush like this, look at that. Okay, there's your skunk ape guy right there, man. And you know, they're just in there watching. And so what does this mean for us, like as Americans? I mean, really, the reality is that what we're uncovering here is far greater than what we imagined. You know, I mean, we've got really clear shots of these achromatic creatures, so we know that the theories on blending in are happening and they're correct, because half this dude's face is green and half it's still white. We're literally only receiving diffusion in certain areas, and certain other areas are shaded, and then trees are lined up on their faces, and they're standing between them, and it's hard to tell. Look at that. You can see him right there. He's watching us. And that's, you know, that's typical behavior. They're just standing there watching you, and you're not supposed to be there. What are you doing? You know what I mean? It's like, you don't belong here making all that noise, is what he's thinking, you know? And I'm trying to talk to him. I'm using Native American and every sound I've heard them make when I absolutely know that it's them, and it's like, oh my God, that sound just scared me to the point where I sharded. That kind of stuff. I make those sounds, and these creatures respond by coming in and taking a look. If you've been on an expedition with me, you know what I do. And that's all we ever do. And this is what responds to my call. Does that look like an owl, a deer, a hog, or a 16-foot man? Because that's what that looks like to me. This is 16 feet, somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 feet, guys. I mean, this is ridiculous. Let's just take a look at the crop. Where are we at? He's over here, man. I mean, this is an enormous dude. And we're staring at him. So what can we say? You can see his eyes, man. He's like looking right at us. You can see his mouth, the whole thing, man. There's the wild man that we've been describing. One version of him anyway, man. I mean, reality is we're also seeing that, you know, there's craziness in the bush. So, but this is what I think, you know, people, when they see, you know, the average skunk ape kind of report or a Bigfoot report, but this thing is twice as big as anything that people are reporting. Who's reported 16-footers in the last 100 years? This data is critical in our understanding exactly what's going on out there, because this particular type is not the only type that seems to be not the only type that gets enormous. This is perhaps the individual that's leaving the tracks that Brian is finding. Now, which one is leaving these tracks? More will be revealed with further study. All right, so we're in the woods, and we're shooting various stuff, and I'm going over clips, and I'm watching this, and suddenly I see something, and I'm like, what is this? Watch right over here. Watch this. Now keep in mind, we're in the middle of a cow pasture, and there's only woods and more pasture in that direction. Something just went by there. Let's watch that again. There's something there. So I look into it. Check this out. Somebody's running, and there's a couple of them running from the area. How about that? There in the corner, and you can kind of get a notion of his whole figure. If you really look, you can see there's like a shape there. That's our bogey right there, man. That's a Sasquatch, but you can see he's achromatic because the phenomenon is busting off his face, and it's creating that illusion that if you're standing there, it makes it look like it's like old film skipping frames, or it's like in between. You see this kind of thing where it's transitioning in between colors, and you can see it happening, and you don't understand what you're staring at, and then suddenly, boom, there's Bigfoot there. But you can literally see this guy's hair on the outside in the shape of his body right here, and then this big head is right here in the middle. That's him. That's our boy. See him? Welcome to Crypto Reality. Stick around, we got a few more to look at.